Larry Zbyszko always used to mention the Armstrong curse on WCW TV as the reason why the Armstrongs frequently lost. What's the Armstrong curse? Have you heard of this?
I have heard of it many times, and hence the while he said that, because he did say that, because we never won a match, you know what I mean? We just lost every time, but we were good, and so he just made that up, like it's the curse of the Armstrongs. When I won the tag titles with Billy as the New Age Outlaws, my first shirt I wore was "Look, Mom, no curse." You know what I mean? And I thought that's a good little shot across the bow at somebody. You know what I mean? Like whatever. But it was like, look, I can win a match. They just let me win up here.
J.D. Prather asks, Brian, when you were a kid, did your dad let you come on any of the road trips during the summer when school wasn't in session? And if yes, do you have any good stories to tell? Thank you for answering.
So he did. I don't have any good stories to tell because I was young. So
and we already know your memory's not too good.
Yeah, but I'll tell you one thing he did. I would go in Pensacola. You know, that's a trigger for me, Ryan. I'm just kidding. Totally just kidding. In summer, I could go to Pensacola. Pensacola was on Sunday night, and it was 15 minutes from my house. And so every now and then I'd get to go and watch that. It was their spot show in Pensacola. But when my senior year, me and my buddy Grant Drugsma were both joining the Marine Corps, and everybody was going on the senior cruise. And my dad and brothers were going on a week-long tour of like the Smoky Mountain area. You know what I mean? Just up in there. And I was 18, and me and my buddy Grant Drugsma got in the car and drove with them, and we went on a week-long tour of wrestling instead of going on the senior cruise. And I tell you, we did have some good times. And I got one great story that I'm not going to share, but it has to do with Colonel Parker. So let your imagination run wild with that. But yeah, it was. He let me go sometimes. You know, that's the bottom line.
It involves some chicken, a gasoline, and a 6-piece nugget.
No, 6-piece nugs and a little person. I don't know.
This next question comes from the great-great-great-grandson of Frank, third cousin on the second side of Carl, and uncle to Simon, Jersey Joe Gotch, who wants to know, what's your favorite wrestling memory or story of your dad in wrestling when you were growing up? So following up, we're getting into the Bullet Bob stuff.
Yeah. I was 4 years old in 1973, and he wrestled Bobby Duncombe. It was a Cadillac tournament, and you had to wrestle a couple times in the night, and he won his way to the main event against Bobby Duncombe. And I think they were in a cage, actually. The final match was in a cage, and Dad had on his white signature, singlet and trunks, and he got color, and he went too deep, and he bled like a pig. They had to he won the Cadillac and won the match, but I was traumatized because he had to go to the hospital after and have blood transfusions and stuff. Like it was bad, but he won, and I'll never forget the fear and elation, like, oh my God, he got beat up so bad, and I was so young, I had no idea what was going on, but he won the big Cadillac, and so I knew he was beat up, but I knew I was going to get to ride in that big Cadillac too. It was a 73 like Coupe de Ville or something. It was red with a white vinyl roof. It was like so big pimping, but back then it was the hot car to have.
What would it be like to see footage of you watching it going through that, like God, the Beyond the Mat Foley and his kids?
Well, look, it's scary when you're that young. And I didn't know wrestling was a work until I was like 15 years old or 14, and literally got in a fight with Paul Orndorff's and Ken Lucas's children because they told me wrestling was fake, and I told them they were liars. And I fought them physically. Then I got in trouble with my dad.
No, we're in on it, dude. Our dad told us.
Like, no big deal, dude. It's not real. Don't really hit me. But yeah, so my dad came home because Orndorff and Ken Lucas were working for my dad at the time. They were like, "Hey, your kid beat up my kid at school," so he had to smarten me up.